Welcome to our deep dive into former President Donald Trump's environmental policies during his presidency. In this video, we'll look at his administration's approach to key environmental issues, including overfishing, the Environmental Protection Agency, and other significant areas. Donald Trump's former presidency, which spanned from 2017 to 2021, saw a shift in environmental policy compared to previous administrations. His approach was often centered around deregulation, aiming to support industries like oil, gas, and fishing. Let's explore how these priorities influenced his stance on specific environmental issues. Let's start with overfishing. Overfishing is a significant environmental issue, threatening marine ecosystems and local fishing economies. President Trump's administration promoted increased fishing activities in certain regions, which he argued would boost the economy and support American fishermen. For example, in 2020, Trump signed an executive order to promote commercial fishing, particularly in national marine sanctuaries. The goal was to make use of American waters more efficiently and reduce dependence on imported seafood. While some praised this move for supporting jobs in the fishing industry, others were concerned about the environmental impact. Critics argued that increased fishing activities in protected areas could risk long-term damage to marine biodiversity and hinder fish population recovery efforts. Now, let's discuss the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA. Under the Trump administration, the EPA's role and reach changed dramatically. Trump aimed to roll back many regulations to decrease what he called the overreach of the agency. His administration repealed or revised more than 100 environmental rules, many of which were aimed at regulating pollution and protecting clean air and water. One major change was the replacement of the Clean Power Plan, an Obama-era initiative focused on reducing carbon emissions from power plants, with the Affordable Clean Energy Rule. This rule gave states more flexibility in regulating power plants, which Trump argued would preserve coal jobs and give states more control over their own environmental policies. Critics, however, contended that this weakened the federal government's ability to set strict emissions standards, potentially resulting in increased greenhouse gas emissions over time. The administration's approach to the EPA was rooted in a broader philosophy of reducing federal oversight to benefit industry and reduce regulatory costs. Another major area of focus was public lands and national parks. Early in his term, President Trump signed an executive order calling for a review of national monuments created by previous administrations. This led to the reduction of two major national monuments, Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante, both in Utah. Trump argued that these areas contained valuable natural resources, and that reducing their size would allow for increased economic development, including potential mining and drilling operations. For proponents, this decision was seen as a way to bring economic benefits to local communities and to lessen federal control over state lands. Opponents, however, argued that this could open the door to exploitation of these lands, threatening archaeological sites, biodiversity, and the natural beauty of these protected areas. When it comes to climate change, Trump made it clear that he questioned the urgency of addressing the issue. In 2017, he announced the United States' withdrawal from the Paris Agreement, an international pact aimed at limiting global warming to below 2 degrees Celsius. Trump stated that the deal was unfair to the U.S. and could hurt American industries and jobs. Supporters of this decision argued it put America first by prioritizing economic stability over international agreements. Critics, however, believed this sent the wrong signal to the world and reduced America's influence in global climate discussions. Although many American states, cities, and businesses pledged to uphold the goals of the Paris Agreement independently, the federal government's stance under Trump represented a significant shift in U.S. climate policy. Trump's administration also made changes to wildlife protection policies, specifically the Endangered Species Act, ESA. In 2019, the administration announced several rule changes to the ESA, which governs protections for threatened and endangered species. These changes made it easier to remove species from the endangered list and limited the consideration of climate change impacts on species. Proponents claimed that the changes modernized the act, reducing regulatory burdens and making it easier to balance economic needs with species protections. Critics, however, were concerned that these changes could increase the risk of extinction for vulnerable species by making it harder to secure necessary protections for their habitats. In summary, Donald Trump's environmental policies were shaped by a focus on economic development, industry deregulation, and a desire to limit federal oversight in environmental matters. Supporters saw these changes as a way to support American jobs and lessen regulatory constraints, while critics argued that some of these rollbacks could have long-term negative impacts on ecosystems, endangered species, and climate goals. No matter where one stands on these issues, Trump's environmental legacy is a reminder of the ongoing balance between economic and environmental priorities in U.S. policy. As the conversation continues, understanding the effects of these policies can help us move toward a more informed and balanced approach in the future. If you like to shop from eco-friendly businesses, there is a link in the video description to a store that may interest you. Thank you for watching. If you found this information helpful, please like and subscribe and hit that bell notification for more unbiased discussions on critical topics shaping the environment of our world.